there can and should be a debate as to who is India's second best investor. There can be no dispute as to who is India's best investor in this generation. Joining me, of course, is the one and only billionaire, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. Rakesh, welcome to the show with Jakes and me. What are your thoughts about this LSE conference that we're about to address?
Well, it's good. It's always great to be with students. And just as you always said that the future battles of Trafalgar are not going to be won in the waters of the Atlantic, but in the
playing fields of Eton.
Playing fields of Eton. So it's great always to interact with students. And I had a fascination with the London School of Economics. And I'm not saying it just for saying it, but for whatever reasons, I couldn't study there. But it's great to be interacting with people from there today.
Education, which you talked about, and it's kind of appropriate at, in today's forum that we talk about education. And you've had, to an extent, what you would consider education enough to make you sort of take on the world, a street fighter. And people have run out of adjectives, but do you have any regrets that you could have studied a lot more and become a lot less successful as a corollary?
Jakes, I have no regrets really in life about anything, except my habits, right? So I don't regret, and I don't think that education is what, makes you street fighters are born, they are not made. Because it comes with determination and guts. And I don't think the determination and guts comes, with education. Education gives me the ability to understand. Education gives me the ability to be civil. Education gives me the ability to reason. Right? And I think, I did a charter accountancy, I think it's one of the best education anybody could have.
Sure.
Because it's not a very glamorous education, but it's a brass tacks education. And it makes me understand financial matters. It also gives me an understanding of law, which is very necessary. Like to interpret the budget. You need to understand the law, what the finance bill means, what the expiry notes means. So I think I had that education which gave me the right cutting edge in terms of understanding. And of course I'm a street fighter. I don't know whether it came with my education, but a lot of people lose that because they are educated. The research shows that formalized education takes away entrepreneurship. Because you reason and you go into paralysis.
What were your first ideas? Did you want to be a trader or did you want to be an investor?
Well, I wanted to be an investor. I never thought I'll trade. But when I did not trade, I came to the market in 1985. I think my first forward trade in life I must have done in 1988. I leveraged because I had no capital. So that leverage itself, in a way is a speculative trade, but the Badla trade or the futures trade I did only in 1988. Because I had earned money. I started with 5,000. By 1988 I was worth 70-80 lakhs of rupees. I wanted, how do I invest? I need capital. And my family won't give me any capital. My father-in-law, even if he gave, I wouldn't take. Right, it's the costliest form of capital. So I thought, how do I get capital? And I had 70-80 lakhs, so I thought the only way I can get capital is by trading.
So what event kind of transformed this capital? Whether it was a big trade, was it a big idea? What one event sort of transformed this into, into serious capital, let's say?
See, there was a series of incidents, Jakes. First of all, I made about 20-25 lakhs of rupees in 1986. In 1985, I was worth 5,000. I invested that money. That money did not appreciate, but gave me a dividend income of 40,000-50,000 rupees a year. Then that investment became worth 80-90 lakhs of rupees in 1988. That was shares of Tata Power. Only sold shares of Tata Power. Then, we got very bullish on Telco. So I did my first few forward trade in life. I bought 500,000 shares of Telco at 90 rupees. In 4 months, they were 120. So I was another crore. Then there was a company called Sisagua. Now, everybody...
That was a breakthrough investment, wasn't it? Sisagua?
Yeah, it was a breakthrough forward trade and investment. So, the iron ore prices, at that time the Brazilians were the main exporters and the Japanese were the main importers. They used to set world prices. And the prices for the next year was set in advance. And an 18% price increase had been given in a commodity. But people in India were just short selling Sisagua day and night, including my good friend Mr. Damani and Mr. Kabra. And I used to explain my bullishness, they should laugh at me. And I bought, and there was one Mr. Bajaj in the market to explain to everybody. But nobody would listen. But
you also understood that the rupee would depreciate and that would be the...
No, Ramesh, never. My idea of buying Sisagua was, I bought it 27-28, I thought the price will be 60-65 in a year, I'll sell. And Citibank was buying for the Ruiyas. Because this was owned by an Italian company and they wanted to sell. And Ruyas wanted to get into iron ore. So at one stage, Mr. Bajaj was buying, I bought 500,000 shares, and Citibank was buying every day for the Ruyas. And the price just flared up to 60, 65 in just 3 months. And I remember I sold bulk of my shares at 60 rupees. I retained about 100,000 shares. The last 25,000 shares, I think I sold in 1992 at 2,200.
Wow.
And this made my net worth 3.5, 4 crores. And then there was a budget of Madhu Janvate, where everybody was so bearish, I think there's no tomorrow. And how education helped me. How education, how knowledge of law, that everybody would say there was crazy thoughts that they'll impose a tax on private education. I mean, your son goes to Qatar, you have to pay 100 rupees a month to the government. So it's a minority government. Education is a state subject. You have to amend the constitution. The government's not for 30 crores of revenue. So other people have got berserk. Right? And, don't forget that the first reform, abolition of estate duty, reduction in direct taxes, was done at the initiative of Mr. V.P. Singh. And he was the Prime Minister. And the people's impression was that he will, and I knew that this fellow is a businessman, although he's a Rajput. He will not give a budget which will hurt industry. And people are talking of increase in MAT rates, and he abolished MAT. People are thinking of hike in excise duty on aluminium, increase in import duty on aluminium. So a complete path-breaking budget, and Ramesh, my net worth next year was 20 crores.
Rakesh, one of the things that you're famous for on the street, you have many colorful sayings. One of them is, invest before you investigate. The fact is, if you find something, go buy it, and then do all the research. Is that still a driving force of how you look at markets?
Sometimes markets give such compelling opportunities. I mean, Diwan housing. Housing finance, I thought, one of the best areas. 230 rupees book value, 6% yield, 4 times earnings, growing at 20% for the last 10 years. Right? Available at 120, 105 rupees. I gave an order for 5 million shares. We'll think about it later. Yeah? I mean, such ridiculous valuations. I'll tell you, Lupin. I bought Lupin because I didn't know what was under, I didn't know what was DMF. But I knew one thing, that Ranbaxy had earned 250 crores rupees in a single product. Lupin had the only injectable cephalosporin approved FDA plant in Asia. They were a single filer for a product whose product size was $360 million, and the market cap of Infosys of Lupin was some 200 crores. What is there to think? Right? So those kind of situations, I think, invest now, investigate later.
And does the market then tell you also to back up the truck in these situations? Because they come so rarely.
Yeah, and then you research later. No? I mean, I bought my first 5 million in DHFL. Before I bought the next, whatever shares I bought, I did a lot of further research. I mean, today it is, it's like meeting Ashwar Rai. What are you thinking? You'll date her without thinking. Yeah? So this is such a situation.
Is that true also, just to cut in, of the current Indian market? Do you feel that it's as you famously said, a buffet, you got to choose what you have to have? Are you that sanguine yet on Indians' prospects?
No, I'm not so sanguine. I'm really far more circumspect.
Why not?
Well, valuations are not, DHFL today is 525. So there's a difference between 125 and 525. See, today in the Indian markets, what has happened? That there are a category of quality stocks whose valuations are unbelievable. But I think quality also has a price. And finally, if I buy, I don't think that how good a company, the long-term sustainable PE is more than 25 to 30 times earnings. And if I'm buying PEs of 60, 70, then if earnings double in last 3 years, ultimately as a long-term investor, I'm not looking for any earnings growth, price growth. On the other side, there is lower quality which is available. But for that lower quality, you have to have a lot of patience. So my saying is that by the sheer valuation, and the fact that the market has a run-up from 5,200 to 9,000, I think market would consolidate here at these levels rather than run again. Yeah. And also I think this, the kind of volumes and the kind of rises we are seeing in individual stocks, it is indicative of the fact that we are going to pause. The fastest, as the market moves higher, the rise gets faster.
But bull markets can become irrational, right? I mean, if retail investors come back, won't you see a huge run-up?
You are such a good investor yourself. Would you like me to participate in rationality?
But there is sections of the market that is still cheap. I mean, a lot of the nifty stocks are still below 2008 levels, right?
So, Ramesh, one thing is, that I look at it this way. In the trade, I can do anything. right? But am I going to invest at 60 times P's, 70 times P's? I'm not.
No way, yeah.
And I won't advise anybody. At the second area are stocks which are cheap by historical standards and valuations. But there is a question mark how well they will do. So now if you really want to invest and you hope to have good return, you got to go below the quality. You got to compromise quality.
Which you're not willing to do?
Well, I'll compromise quality at a price. I mean, if someone gives me United Breweries and United Spirits at 200 crores market cap, I'll buy it even today. Even with that kind of corporate governance.
There is one section of the market which is the space that you haven't really participated in, most of us haven't. Maybe as a result of the fact that we think we don't see earnings, which is the e-commerce space. Where irrationality, one would argue, is at its worst ever. What's your thought process on that?
We don't have to participate in every party.
But is that party here to stay?
I know one thing, that pets for .com burnt away $500 million in the last 6 months of the internet boom.
In 2000.
And some pets for food. Some offline retailer has been bought by Apollo for fund management for $8.75 billion. So, see, I don't know. I think e-commerce will grow faster than what we are estimating. But boss, I want to buy this kind of valuation. I agree with Ramesh, it may be smarter to buy the service providers rather than buying this company themselves. And I don't want to participate in every party here.
But would you liken this party to the 2000 boom or bust?
You have any doubt?
None of us do. That's the.
But you have any doubt?
But the irrationality of valuation at some point in time will catch up, clearly.
No, the irrationality of valuation, forget that. Forget the valuation. Where is the completed business model? I want to know Flipkart's business model. You want to lose $250 million a year, where are you going? I want to know how you will be profitable. Second is, if you look at any company in the world, the real companies that are going to lend to investors have been built by the cash flows of those businesses, not by investors' money. When are these cash flows going to come?
Fair point.
I see no complete. You look at Just Dial, he changes his model every year. I'm going abroad. Then I'm launching this product.
Then a marketplace.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's just take a break. We'll take a few minutes off, come back and chat some more with billionaire Rakesh Jhunjhunwala.